Hi guys, my name is Joseph Olo from Calisthens Fitness, and today we are going to talk about mobility and flexibility. That is the differences, because most people have been finding it difficult to know the differences between these two. So that's what we are going to discuss today. Also the mistakes that most people make before and after their workouts. So first, what we need to focus on is to differentiate between what we mean with flexibility and mobility. So when flexibility, remember, these focus on the muscles, that is what range can the muscle be stretched to. And then when it comes to mobility, this focuses on joints, and that is the joints, those are the bones. So that's the difference. First you need to know that flexibility mostly focuses on the muscles, and then mobility, this works and focuses on the joints and the bones. So staying in this position, this is mostly mobility part, the hip mobility, because remember we are using, it's a joints only movements. We have the knees, we have the ankles and the hips, so this is hip mobility. If you are in this position, there is no muscle you are working on, mostly the joints, so this is mobility. But if I start doing things like this, I'm stretching. So if I'm in this position, this is now the flexibility part. My hamstring has to be flexible enough to allow me to stay in this position comfortably. And if you do something like typewriter, remember to keep your legs straight in this position. Once you have the hip mobility, you are able to stay in this position, and then you have a good flexibility from the hip all the way to the ankle. You are able to keep your legs straight without struggling. So this is a mixture of mobility and flexibility. And then we also have something like, let's say, like a pancake, where we go down. So where this is also this is part of the flexibility and mobility. Flexibility comes in when you do this, you feel the stretch of your hamstrings, and then your hip your spine allowing you to go all the way down. This is part of flexibility as well. And then mobility, also we have mobility here, being able to move the movement from up going down smoothly. That is mobility. But just staying in this position mostly is flexibility. Then another mistake that people don't understand is how to, when it comes to flexibility and mobility, is let's say a movement like pistol squats. So most people can stay in this position comfortably and they can come up and some people they can't stay in this position and come up, yet they can stay in this position comfortably and come up. So here, this one is a mobility and flexibility move. Remember what we said here. So when it comes to this position, remember we have the hip is a very big muscle. So since we have different muscles, we have different muscles around the hip, and you have tight hamstrings. Keeping your legs straight in this position becomes a problem. Remember, if you have a tight hamstrings, it means even your back, the spine muscle, because it's connected to the hip muscle. If you have this tight, it will affect your lower back, and that will also hinder your pistol squat hold position. So most people that have tight hamstrings, they are finding it difficult to do pistol squats with straight legs all day. And because if you have strong legs, okay, you have strong legs, meaning you can easily push all the way up, but you won't go all the way down if your hip mobility is poor. That's why most people who, let's say those people who lift weights that have tight hips, their pistols, they stay up to here and come back up. That's another difference that you should know if you have tight hamstrings and tight lower back. So you need to do more of stretches to open up these muscles so that you are able to do both. Remember, you can have tight hamstrings and still be able to do this. you still be able to do, because in this position you are not using your legs flexibility that much as here. So if you have tight hamstrings, you can easily do this kind of squat, but you can find it difficult when it comes to doing pistol squats. But if you have flexible hamstrings, you can do this easily, because remember, when it comes to this, here we are mostly require a lot of strength compared to here. So you can be strong and be able to do this easily, but here, since flexibility is more needed for the balance to hold in this position, you can find it difficult if you're not flexible enough when it comes to hamstrings. So our last part is these mistakes that most people make during the stretches. So when it comes to stretching, this is my personal view and my personal understanding from where I've come from. So when you are doing your stretches or flexibility, that is how you learn to push yourself. If you want to stretch your hamstrings, just doing this is not enough. Sometimes you need to push yourself further and not too much. Remember, tearing these muscles is like very short time you can tear the hamstring muscle. Any muscle is very easy to tear. So if you need to stretch this part, you take your time. Just start slowly. So this is mobility. Slowly to open up the hip and the hamstring muscles. Just slowly. And then once it's warmed up, now you can try to hold for as low as you can. That's the mistake most people make. They just go straight to a stretch and a long stretch once without warming up the muscles first. So before you do that long hold, make sure you warm up the muscles slowly. Any kind of stretch, doesn't matter. Be it anything. If you want to stretch your shoulders, just start slowly, and then once the muscles are warmed up, you can now push as far as you can. It doesn't matter what kind of stretch, any muscle. As long as you're doing your stretches, make sure you take your time, start slowly, warm up the muscles first, and then push yourself. And don't remember, the muscles are elastic. They're like elastic bands. The more you stretch them, the more they open. So just stretch them slowly and keep stretching until they are open. Thank you guys for watching, and if in any case this video assisted you, please don't forget to put a thumb up, subscribe, share, then hit the bell signal so that each time we post a video you get a notification. See you again next week.